morning, class. How are you today?
Good.
Great.
Good. So I want you to look over here really quickly, and we're going to look over what we're going to be learning today. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is being able to analyze cause and effect. And we're going to be looking at different models using a graphic organizer. Class, do you know what a graphic organizer is? Have you guys used one before or think you know what it is? Anybody have thoughts?
Maybe.
Mallory?
I think so. Is it where you have like a topic and then you put things off of it in like a logical way?
You got it. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn about cause and effect, and we're going to use different models, but we're going to organize it so we can look at a sheet. This is like a graphic organizer. We're going to look at things and it's going to make sense, and you all will be able to put connections towards it. So if you're not sure what cause and effect is, or maybe you're a little sure but kind of fuzzy on some things, we're going to talk all about it. The next thing that we're going to be learning is we're going to be able to investigate how earthquakes are caused and what type of effects they have. So first off, before we start anything, I want to ask, we just got done reading chapter 9, and I know you guys are really excited to find out what happens after the earthquake. So once the earthquake hit, and Jonathan and Abby were in the middle of it, we talked about last time how there was a lot of chaos and everything that was going on, but once the earthquake hit and everything was done, what happened? Do you guys remember? Annie?
Weren't there some rock slides?
Rock slides, yeah. What other things happened? Mallory?
A flood.
There was this huge flood that came through, and Jonathan and Abby, they were stuck in the middle.
Some of the trees fell down.
A lot of the trees fell down. So there were a lot of effects of the earthquake. So what we need to remember is that the earthquake was caused. Something caused the earthquake, and the floods, the trees falling, all of this disaster, they're all effects of the earthquake. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at different causes and effects. And it doesn't just happen with earthquakes. We see it every day. Cause and effects happens all the time. So we're going to back up a little bit, and we're going to investigate our cause and effect. So we're going to move over here to our thinking map. And what we're going to do is we're going to transition through all of these different cause and effects. And you are all going to be able to practice and learn a little more about it. So let's start at the very top. Here's our thinking map, and we're going to go all the way down here. Now we're going to look at cause, and before we start, I want to make sure we understand what cause is. So do you guys have any ideas of what the definition of cause is? What do you think?
Thoughts? Just like something that happens.
Something that happens, right? So it's something that occurs. So we'll put something happens. Any other thoughts? That's a really great answer. Something happens. Okay, so if something happens, and it can be anything, so what would be an effect? So if something happens, then what?
It's like a reaction.
A reaction. Good word. It's a reaction to something happening. Any other words that you can think of? How about why it happened? Talking about the cause, but then what happens? So we know that something happened, but then what happens after it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that the cause is something that happens, and it can be anything. And the effect is going to be the reaction, something that happens after it. Good job. So let's go to this very first one. The cause is I fell. So I'm walking across, I'm going to school, and all of a sudden I trip on something and I fall. What would be an effect? What would happen if I fell? Yeah.
Scrape your knee.
You could scrape your knee. And do you think that there's more than one effect? Can more than one thing happen because of something? Yeah, so what are some other things?
You drop your books out of your hand.
Drop your books. You got a big stack of them. And there's so many other things that could happen. You could start crying if you really hurt yourself. There's so many things that affect what happened because of falling. Now this middle word here, what does this say? Can you see that?
Connecting word.
Connecting word. So between cause and effect, there's a word that we're looking for here. So I'm saying I fell. If I'm writing it in a sentence and I say I fell, scrape my knee.
And.
Sounds like it's missing something. And could be a connecting word, right? Can you think of any others that you've seen in books or that you might work with that? There's and. So, I fell, so I scraped my knee. How about this one? Therefore, I fell. Therefore, I scraped my knee. And we're going to practice these as we keep going. As a result. So all of these have the same meaning. And then you can put it into a sentence. I fell and I scraped my knee. I fell. As a result, I dropped my books. Great job. Okay, so let's keep on going down and we'll go to the next one. So, it was sunny today. So that's our cause, so we know that outside is really nice. What would be an effect? What's something that might do? Annie?
I got a sunburn.
I got a sunburn. Has that happened to you guys before? Oh my gosh. So many times. I got a sunburn. What else could happen if it's sunny outside?
You played sports.
Played sports. Play soccer, frisbee. So what are some connecting words that we can use? It was sunny today.
Therefore.
Therefore. Mallory, can you read this out loud for me, the whole sentence?
It was sunny today, therefore I got a sunburn.
Got a sunburn. And we've all been there. Okay, so let's do the opposite then. It snowed today. What happens if it snows? Mallory?
You could slip on the ice.
Slip on the ice. Which could go back to this one. It snowed today. I slipped on the ice. I fell. Therefore, I dropped my books. So see, they can all connect in so many ways. Good job. Anything else? It snowed today. What do you do if it's snowing outside? What if...
Wear a coat.
Wear a coat? So what if school is canceled? What might you do? If it snowed and school is canceled,
Have a snowball fight.
have a snowball fight. I was getting to that. Like, I know that you've done that before. Have a snowball fight. Annie, what's a connecting word that I could use here?
So.
It snowed today, so I had a snowball fight. Fantastic job. And then we're going to move over to our last one. Our cause is, I did my chores. What happens when you do your chores?
I got an allowance.
You got an allowance. What would be a connecting word, Mallory? Can you think of one that's maybe not up here?
I did my chores. Then I got an allowance.
Then I got an allowance. Nice job. Okay, so now we're going to look at the opposite again. So I did not do my chores. And I want you to think a little bit outside the box on got an allowance. Obviously, you wouldn't get an allowance if you didn't do your chores. What's some other things, Annie?
I wasn't allowed to play my video game.
Wasn't allowed to play video games. So you got privilege taken away. Can you give me a connecting word? Maybe something that's not up here that you're thinking? Think of any that maybe you've read before.
I did not do my chores.
If you can't think of one off the top of your head, maybe just find one up here that we've already written, because these ones work just the same. So what could you put that together to make a sentence?
I did not do my chores, therefore I wasn't allowed to play.
Therefore, I was not allowed to play. Class, you did a great job with this. I think you're starting to make connections with this. And like I said, you can take so many phrases and you can connect them to other cause and effects. So now what we're going to do is we're going to relate this back to our earthquakes. So like we were talking about earlier, when an earthquake hits, there's different causes and there's different effects of it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about the different causes of earthquakes. And this is going to transition a little bit, so we're going to go off of our reading and we're going to talk about the different causes. This has to do with a little bit of science and geography. So I want you guys to picture something for me. We live in North America. We're a big, big country that we all live in. And underneath our country, we have these things called a tectonic plate. Can you guys say that?
Tectonic plate.
Tectonic plate. It's kind of funny when you spell it. Tectonic plate. So under our country, we have this big plate, and just counts as this big mound of a plate. It's really deep underneath us. And right now it's underneath us. Can't see it, you can't feel it, but it's under there. And on the other side, on the Pacific, we've got another plate, and they're all over. We have them everywhere, all over the world. So think about these two plates coming together. And if you think about underneath us, these plates are resting just like this. Can you guys put your hands like this? Now, they don't really look like this, but these are what the plates kind of, you get an idea of what they look like. So if they're sitting here and they're resting on each other, this is the North American plate and the Pacific plate. And they're just sitting here, chilling by each other, and then all of a sudden one goes, slips. It strikes, it slips. What's going to happen?
Earthquake.
An earthquake, right? Now, why do you think it would cause an earthquake? What would that do?
It moves the ground.
It moves the ground, which causes what? What comes up from the ground during an earthquake?
Vibrations.
Vibrations. And there are so many different ways that the plates can move. And it doesn't just happen all the time, because if it did, we'd be in earthquakes all the time. But what happens is these plates, just like this, they can move this way, they can move backwards. Sometimes two plates are sitting like this, and they slip underneath each other. And that's when you're going to get an earthquake, and that's called subduction. When you have two plates that go underneath each other. Can you guys say that word?
Subduction.
Subduction. So when two plates are rubbing up against each other, so we up here in North America, we've got our big plate, and then here comes the Pacific plate, and it starts rubbing up against our plate, it's going to cause an earthquake. It's going to cause those vibrations to come up, and then what's going to happen because of the earthquake?
Flood.
Flood.
Rock slides.
Rock slides, so many things, which are what?
Effect.
It's an effect of an earthquake. You got it. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to pass out to each one of you a picture. And on this picture, there are different effects of an earthquake. Some things we talked about, some other things that maybe we haven't. Now what I want you to do is keep in mind of what we were talking about up here. I want you to use causes, connecting words, and effects. And I want you to write down your own for this picture. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like we've written up here. You guys, I want you to think about it and really use your mind and think, okay, what could have caused this issue, this effect in this picture? And write it down. I'll give you a few minutes, and then we're all going to share it together. And there's one extra if anybody's feeling brave and wants to do one more. You can write more than one sentence if you
That was
need.
my question.
Yeah, if you guys can think of more than one, write it down. This one here, the house flipped upside down. Use your own words with it. Really be creative and think about it. Okay, class, I think we're ready to move on. So I want just one of you to start raising your hand and tell me what you wrote down. First hand I see up. Annie, what did you write down for yours? First of all, can you show us your picture?
My picture is water flooding.
Big
So
flood, just
I
like in the
wrote-
book, right?
Yeah. I wrote, an earthquake caused the ocean to flood.
It caused the ocean to flood. Flood. And Annie, did you write down more than one? I thought I saw.
Yes, I have another one. The flood washed away a road.
The flood washed away. I love how you use different wording in that. So the flood caused something else. So you were using two different connections that all kind of flow together. So the flood, what was that? The flood
Washed away a road.
washed away a road.
I also wrote, the flood destroyed a house.
And do you see in that picture there's a house probably on there that's got
Mhm.
water in it? So then the flood, what did you say again?
Destroyed a house.
Destroyed a house. I love the word destroyed because that's exactly what they can do. Okay, Mallory, do you want to share what you wrote down on yours?
I said that there was an earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, there was a fire.
As a result, nice connecting words.
And then I have one more.
And there was a fire. And then what else did you write on it?
I said, that, to continue my sentence, I said there was a fire that burnt down a whole neighborhood.
Okay, fire that burned down a whole neighborhood. So maybe it just went on for a while and no one could put it out. And lastly, what did you write down for yours?
There was an earthquake, and as a result, the road split in half.
Split in half.
Can I see your picture?
Yeah, show them your pictures. Look at this one. This road, and that happens all the time. It's split right in half. Yeah, so if you imagine driving down that road and then all of a sudden you just see this big crack in the road. So the road's split in half. So since there's one more picture, I think I'm going to do a little demonstration on this one. See, so on here, we can see there's this house that's upside down, and there's workers all over picking up all the debris. You guys see that? So maybe something I could write down for this one that I noticed that no one wrote down, but I was thinking. So I know that the earthquake can cause a road to split or this house to flip, but I want to go back before the earthquake even happened. What's a cause that we could put in here instead of the earthquake? What could happen that caused the earthquake?
Tornado.
A tornado, okay.
To cause that, yeah.
To cause that. What about anything right before the earthquake? So if we're thinking about an earthquake causing this, what happens before? Do you guys remember those words we talked about?
Tectonic plate.
Tectonic plates. So when those plates move, like this, what were those words called?
Subduction.
Subduction. So maybe I could write for this one that subduction caused an earthquake, and the earthquake caused the house to flip upside down, right? So like I said, they're continual. You can start with before the earthquake happened. What caused the earthquake? Then what caused the flood? So you guys can just keep going with them.
Kind of like a ripple effect.
It is like a ripple effect, exactly, and it just keeps going, just like our thinking map. Okay, so we have one last thing we're going to do. If you can please put your papers off to the side. So I'm going to hand out to you our last graphic organizer. Now what I want you to do is, there's 3 different boxes here. There's our cause, connecting phrase, and effects, just like we have up here. Now I want you to pull out your stories that we read, and I want you to look at chapter 9. And I want you to write in here different causes that caused the earthquake. And at the very beginning of the chapter, Jonathan talks about why he thinks the earthquake is happening. So you would write that in the cause section. Then in the effects, go back and you're going to write down different things the earthquake caused, and then make sure to use your connecting words. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. You guys can work in pairs, you can work on your own, but just make sure that you use full sentences and make your connecting phrases and use evidence from the book. Okay, class, go ahead and write down your last sentence. And we're going to do one more thing before you leave today. So put a period and a dot at the end and put it off to the side. So what I'm going to do for you is I have a little riddle that I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys 2 riddles. And based on all of our vocabulary that we learned today and different causes and effects, I want you to try to talk with each other. I'll give you a few minutes after I tell you your riddle, and you have to guess what you think this is. And they're going to be vocabulary words, anything that we learned today. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
I slip, I slide, I strike, and I cause vibrations. Sometimes you can put food on me. What am I?
A plate. Yeah. Yeah.
Class, what do you think? Mallory?
We all think that it's a tectonic plate.
A tectonic plate. You are absolutely right. The tectonic plates, they can slip, they can slide, they cause subduction. Awesome. Okay, I have one more. This one's a little tricky, so listen really carefully. I am an effect of an earthquake. When I am unbothered, I am peaceful. But one move and I rise to the occasion. I pick up and move objects and have a salty taste. What am I?
A tornado.
Your turn. What about tsunami? Salty.
Think about the last part and have a salty taste.
Tsunami.
Yeah, it's water.
A tsunami. Awesome job. And I know we didn't talk about that, but in Annie's picture, like a flood, a tsunami, and that can totally happen. Great job today, 5th graders. Go ahead and pack up your things and you can get ready to go.